You're listening to Life with Herpes, and this is episode 7. Excited for this week's guest. Stay tuned. I just cannot wait for you to hear everything she has to say. It is just so incredible, the amount of knowledge and time she's put into talking about sex. So it'll be a fun topic. We will get a little bit off track with other aspects of sex. I know typically we just talk about herpes, so this is a fun one. It's just fun. Who doesn't want to talk about sex, right? So before I cue it on over to this week's interview, I want to make sure you have received your free download. Okay, it's the 9 seldomly used but incredibly powerful over-the-counter herpes remedies. I wrote this, I use it, I put it together, I even reference it when I have outbreaks. So definitely head on over, check it out. Go to lifewithherpes.com, download it. It is free. It's on the homepage right there. Like I said, I wish I would have had this when I found out I had herpes. All right, have a great day and let me cue it on over. Hi, I am Alexandra Harbushka, the host of the podcast Life with Herpes, and I'm really excited to have a guest on the show today, and she's such a special guest. And as you know, I like to bring guests on that are unique and share so much, stuff that has to do with herpes. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest. She comes with both personal life lessons and her career, and she's brought these lessons together, and I am really off on this one, Sammy. I was so much better the first time. I don't know what happened. I got thrown off because I was thrown off.
No worries. Let's just take a breath.
Okay.
You can always edit out.
I
right?
will. I'll take that out. Okay.
No problem. No problem.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Alexandra Harbushka, and you're listening to the Life with Herpes podcast. I'm really excited for you to be here today, and I have a special guest. She brings so much knowledge to the show, both through her personal life and her career. She's brought lessons from her childhood, such as childhood obesity, being diagnosed later on with anorexia, spending time in prisons, and then went on to become a minister. And her career has just progressed, and she's become a counselor, and she's a certified sexological bodyworker. She is the author of Scalded, The Making and Undoing of the Extremists, and the founder of the Samadhi Research. I bring to you Dr. Sami Logo-Disse, and I call her Sammy, so we're going to be saying Sammy in the podcast, but it is Dr. Sami Logo-Disse. So welcome, Sammy.
Thank you, Alexandra.
So...
What an introduction.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed it.
I enjoy being with you.
I enjoy being with you.
And as I said earlier, and I want to say it again and again and again, thank you for doing this work. Thank you for your courage.
Thank you.
You are bringing such a vital, important, valuable resource to the public by opening up this discussion.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you.
This is the current day leprosy, or one of the many current day leprosies that we don't talk about. We keep hidden, as we did in ages past, because nobody talked about sex, anything related to sex. It was evil, sinful. The body was considered sinful, a den of iniquity. We're born in sin. All of this ideology that was given to us. So what are we supposed to do with this body and its enormous life force energy that keeps us alive and thriving and growing and producing progeny, to carry on the species? But all of this, of course, related to sexuality, which it is as a fact, has been kept underground. And for example, I always use this example, at the dinner table, we talk about politics, we talk about economics, we talk about our headaches, we talk about our tummy aches, we talk about the neighbor, but where do you hear a discussion about, I had an itch on my clitoris the other day?
Right. Right. I had an itch on my elbow, and you can say that, but you wouldn't say I had an itch on my clitoris.
Right. So,
right. That's true.
Why not? What is the difference between the elbow and the clitoris other than anatomically and its structure and what it does in the body? Mm-hmm. But it's still, both are part of the body.
Right.
So we've sectioned off our bodies, literally, in our minds. And we've been educated this way, that we learn all about the brain and the head and the elbows and the hands and the feet and the stomach and the digestive system and the circulatory system. All of this very valuable. But then we leave this big hole from the colon to the top of the thighs. Right. And it's called down there.
Right.
Well, what goes on down there? This big black hole there. Well, the creation of life, for example.
Right.
We can't,
it's huge.
hatch a baby out of our elbow. Right?
Right.
So I'm illustrating this to show what all of us already know, that we have no sexual education. And I always say over and over again, this is why every single one of us have been sexually abused. Mm. We are sexually abused. There is no greater or lesser. The basic sexual abuse is that we have no valuable, good, authentic, and vastly accessible sexual education available. We have people definitely starting to promote this and offering in various parts of the world and here in the United States. But on a grand scale, the majority of the population is completely ignorant. Even if they know anatomically, they know stuff. They don't know the connection to their emotions, to what they've suffered, to what generations of both genders suffered. All of this knowledge is not being taught. It's not there.
Well, because nobody wants to talk about it.
Nobody wants to talk about it, and therefore nobody wants to or are able to find good, solid solutions. Okay, so here we have a situation with herpes as an example, one of the many sexually transmitted diseases, growing and growing and growing as a diagnosis. And as we were talking formally before about, many people walk around, they have no idea that they have it.
Isn't that shocking?
They're asymptomatic. They don't have symptoms. They have no idea that they have this. They're carriers. They're spreading it to other people, and it's just going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. Right.
And that's something to key in is you can be asymptomatic, meaning you do not show symptoms of herpes, yet you have herpes, which means you can transmit herpes, because you do not have to have an outbreak per se to transmit it. And actually 70% of the transmission happens without an outbreak. Because let's face it, when you have an outbreak, it hurts. And why would you have sex? Because it's painful, right?
Correct.
I mean, you wouldn't be having sex because it hurts. So it has to get passed somewhere.
Yes. And I'm reading here from a bulletin by the CDC.
Yes.
I'm reading this.
Yes.
Herpes is caused by a virus that spreads by skin-to-skin contact during vaginal, anal, or oral sex, or by genital touching. So, many people even think, oh, if I have oral sex, it's not sex.
Right.
I'm still a virgin and it's not sex.
Right.
I'm not having sex. It's oral.
It's a blowjob.
And when I talk to people about putting the condom on with their mouth, they look at me like I come from Mars. Why put a condom on with your mouth? If you're having oral sex, put a condom on, unlubricated condom on, with your mouth or your hand but make sure, or your partner puts it on, but make sure if you're having heterosexual connection here, make sure that you practice some form of safe sexual contact. This is safe sexual contact. And people don't realize, they don't think, if they think it's, if they're having oral sex, that, nothing's being transmitted. There's so much we don't know.
Right.
And I always advocate to people, please practice safely and then have a wonderful time, have an amazing time. When I worked in Europe as a legal sex worker in Europe, we always used condoms. This is mandatory. And people there completely accepted it, had a fantastic time, enjoyed themselves totally, because the attitude in the mind was changed about condoms. Many men say, well, it's not the same, I don't feel the same, it's not good enough, because they believe this. This is a belief system. I verified this as the truth. When you change the belief system, you can enjoy. Not only can you, but for the male, it's more friction for the penis, as an example. And when the friction is translated as pleasure, which it can easily be learned to experience, it's even more pleasurable. Plus, you're being safe.
Right.
What is not pleasurable about being safe? Safety is the foundation of great sex. When we feel safe, the parasympathetic nervous system is able to relax and release serotonin. Oxytocin is coursing through the system. The penis gets hard. This is the basis of excitement. The vagina lubricates. You've got the makings, in a heterosexual situation, you've got the makings of great sex. In same-sex relationships, you're still interested in the lubrication, you're interested in, how your cock functions, depending on your gender, of course, and what could be greater? And this functions because you're relaxed and the blood vessels engorge, and they can only engorge when you're relaxed, and you can only be relaxed when you feel safe.
Huge.
And so this is the foundation of great sex. Practice safely.
And that also means, and let's clarify, because we hear safe sex. What I think and what I've found out is, what is a huge misconception is there's more going on before you even have sex, right? The when you go into the act of entering into the vagina, talking heterosexually, there's more going on. And so that also means wearing a condom during foreplay.
Yes.
Which people don't think. They think, well, it's just sex. Like I don't have to worry until we're connected. Right?
Right.
But there's ways for it, we're talking specifically about herpes. You don't have to have outbreaks or get it on your vagina, on your clitoris, on your labia, on your penis. It can be on the inside of your legs. It can be
Absolutely.
Below your belly button. It can be anywhere in the genital region that comes in contact with the herpes virus. So it's not just sex, which is, I think, key.
Correct.
And I mean, you're the expert in the safe sex, but I just wanted to make sure that we were talking about that, because people go, well, I've always used a condom, I don't get it. Well, explain to me when you used a condom, and how did you use the condom, and things like that.
Yes, and you're absolutely right there. And we also don't realize that we can have paper cuts, and the virus can come right through the skin into our system. Right. We can have tiny openings in our gums, or little sores in our mouth that we're not even aware of. I mean, we're not conscious of. Again, the virus can get in our system. And you can't undo it. It's not that once I get it, it'll evaporate, it'll go away.
Right.
If I'm asymptomatic, it will go away. It's not that it disappears somewhere in the ethers, you see.
It's like the
And
lost email.
so I always say to people, start out with safe sex practices. Talk with your partner about what kind of an atmosphere you want to create. Let your sexual expression become more conscious. Because the more conscious, the more aware you are, the more embodied you are, the more in touch with your body, then allows you to become more in touch with your partner's body, with your partner himself or herself, and likewise your partner with you. The more conscious the sex, the greater it is, the more ecstatic you can become. This is a process to lead to absolutely ecstatic sexuality, which you cannot have if you're unsafe. It's not possible. It's not the way the system works here.
Right.
Because we have a nervous system that governs us. We have a hormonal system that governs us. And when we forget about the body and we're just into the idea of what we think this is, again, we have to look at, well, where did I learn this idea? From whom did I learn all these ideas about sex? So when I work with people, we get back to, where is your foundation? Where did you learn? Most people learn through porn, or they learn through their friends, or somebody on the street, or some romantic movie. And I say, that's all the blind leading the blind. Because where did they learn?
Right.
Porn stars, bless their hearts, and there's, that may be entertainment, but it is not education. It's not education. The movies, the romantic movies, are entertainment, but they're not education. Right. I had to recognize I didn't know either. I didn't know. I was brought up, I didn't know. We didn't talk about sex. And if we did, who was I talking to? My parents? My teachers around me, who also didn't know. I had to travel around the world. I had to travel around the world, to Asia, to Europe, etc., to learn from people who really knew, who knew the science, who knew the brain, who knew the background, who knew thousands of years of history of Tantra, of the erotic arts. All of this knowledge is here on the planet. It's not that we have to go to some other planet. It's all here. But we have to learn it, and we have to learn it from people who have learned it and experience it. You see?
Right. Absolutely.
I can't teach about ecstasy unless I've experienced it through my sexual life force energy. I can't. And I only teach what I know.
Absolutely.
Not what I read in books.
That's huge.
And so hence the sexological bodywork comes in, because here I have the opportunity to actually work with people to help them get in touch with their whole body, not just a section of the body, the whole body, and as it functions as a whole and works as a whole for them. And everybody's body has basically the same structure, but is totally unique because of environmental influences, DNA influences, hormonal influences, etc.
What the story is we tell what the story is we repeat daily in our mind about our body, or having herpes. Yep.
Yes. Right. And also when people begin to realize, because they have a diagnosis or they have an outbreak or something happens that they don't understand is going on down there, and then they go to a doctor or they go to somebody to help them understand what's going on down there, right? That doesn't mean the end of the world. And it doesn't mean that they're condemned to walk around in fear and hiding. Don't tell anybody. I don't want anybody to know.
Well, that's what happens.
They're mired in shame. And most of us, when we start to explore our sexuality, or even venture to talk about our sexual life force energy, we have to deal with the shame that comes up right behind it. And it's in all of us. I experienced it myself, of course. And everyone I work with experiences it as well, because we were taught that. That's what we were educated to believe, that we should be ashamed of expressing our sexual life force energy in any way and reserve it only for marriage.
Right.
Only for procreation. And in so doing, in transmitting that kind of knowledge, it has so limited us. And the truth is, really, as I have learned it and experienced it, is that our sexual life force energy flows throughout our whole body. It's what gives our fingernails the ability to grow, our brain, our eyes to function, and not only all the workings in our body. That energy is also creative energy. It allows us to do the work we do, whatever that is, whether we're an artist or a neurosurgeon. It doesn't matter. The energy that's driving that creativity in our work is the sexual life force energy. It's one and the same. And it's the energy of creation in every aspect, not just to produce another human being, but to produce a work of art. Where do you think Michelangelo's art came from? Where do you think Mozart's music came from? It came from that same source. We're talking about the same source, which is more powerful than a 30 megaton bomb. 30 megaton bomb can't create a human being.
Right. Huge.
Right.
Huge.
So we're walking around with this energy. And if we do not learn about it and learn how to use it, which we can, then stopping it up, blocking it, will produce frustration, annoyance, upset,
outbreaks,
anger, aggression, violence. And we see it all around us.
All the time.
What do you think is the source of discord, domestic violence, and global violence and war, terrorism? What do you think the source is? It's blocked sexual life force energy. Absolutely. Because why? Why do I say that? Because it's the truth. That's what's stopped up in every human being. The only way it can explode for a lot of people is in violence. And the reason I say that, not because I'm woo-woo, but because of laws of physics. And I use the analogy of a pot on the stove. When we want to boil water, we fill the pot with the water or liquid, put a top on, put it on the stove, turn up the heat, and walk away. And after a while, if we leave the heat on, right, we're going to hear rattling of the lid. What is the rattling of the lid? It says, oh, the water's boiled, right? What's happened physically in that pot? The water molecules with the heat have expanded the molecular structure, and it turns from water to a gas. The gas molecules are larger and they push off the lid. And we hear the expression, he blew his lid. Okay? Where'd that comes from? The pot on the stove. This is a closed container. We are 90%, somewhere around there, water. What is the heat? Stress. The same thing happens. What's contained in here comes to a boil. It has to go somewhere. That's the laws of physics. It's the same as the water turns to steam. So we erupt. It's that life force energy that is involved in that eruption, because when the stress is turned up, our emotions are heated. Frustration, annoyance, confusion, anger. Like, look what's going on around us. Listen to the news today.
Right.
All these people around the world upset about the bombings, the recent bombings, etc. And they're all expressing their anger, their annoyance, their confusion, their upset. They're expressing it. Right. So they have a venue to do that. Other people who don't have that venue, what do they do with that energy? And I'm sure all of us can identify times that we've gotten so angry, so upset, and so confused, and feeling so powerless to deal with that energy. We've exploded. Okay, what about this powerlessness? Why would we feel powerless? We feel powerless when we don't know what we're doing. and we don't know what that energy is about, nor how to channel it and control it wisely. That's we feel powerless because it's overwhelming. How many people I see day after day, every day, people, I'm overwhelmed. Overwhelmed with stress. I don't know how to handle it. So then we go to work and I teach them ways to handle it, to channel it. So when we talk specifically about the genital components, or the genitally activated components in the manifestation of our sexual life force energy, right? Then we often just think of, if we're heterosexual, we think of intercourse. Or if we're same-sex, we think of a variety of different ways we manifest.
Right.
And translate that and transfer that, right? And that's it. End of story. I don't do anything else. We talk about sex, and most people mean intercourse.
Right.
Or some kind of connection there, or oral. Some kind of intercourse. Some kind
Something goes in.
This.
Right. That's it.
Somewhere. Tongue, something going into something else.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I say, oh, you mean genital connection. That's what we think. What about all the other connections? What about kissing? What about hand holding? What about hugging? What about just looking into your partner's eyes and feeling turned on? What about rapture? What about that wonderful flush you feel? What about the feeling of being in love? How everything tingles and sparkles. You think, love it. What about all the many expressions, all the love poetry, all this stuff? You think that's not sex? What else is it? It's sexual life force energy. So I'm always saying our sexual energy is the same as our life force energy. It's one and the same energy. Sometimes we choose to use that energy expressing it genitally, but we can also express it through a whole wide range of other means.
Like Michelangelo, like Mozart, like whoever.
Absolutely. And when we listen to classical music or rap, or we look at art of any kind, whether it's Picasso or Michelangelo or whatever, we can feel orgasmic. What is orgasm? It is an experience of something that takes us over and transports us into a different space-time reality. That's what it is. And we feel it. We're captivated by it. We want more of it. In fact, that's really why we live.
Right. Of course.
We get up in the morning. We go to work. Why? We go to work so we can pay the bills. We pay our bills. Why? So we can have more stuff to enjoy. Buy clothes, gather things, whatever we want. Why? So we can look good. If we buy stuff and we have stuff, we look good. Why? So we can meet a mate. Why? So we can have that connection. Why? Because it feels good. That's why.
It does.
Why. Right?
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
If it felt bad, we wouldn't go after it.
Right.
We're going to go after something that feels bad.
We wouldn't have sex.
Yeah.
So what happens when people come to you and they tell you they have herpes? Or, and you talk a little bit about generations, who are you talking to? Do you notice that there's a stigma with different generations? Do you notice that it's a different disease depending on who you're talking to? So what kind of happens?
Well, when somebody comes to me, usually they come in a state of confusion, frustration, fear, terror, panic, some one of those or a combination of those states. So the very first thing
That
I
they
do.
have it, or they might have it, or...
They might have it. They have it. They've just been diagnosed. They might have it. They've been exposed to it. They feel funny, and they don't know about this partner they've been with. All these kinds of possibilities of every age. I've dealt with as young as 13, and there's probably younger. I'm sure there, because I've heard other colleagues have dealt with people who were 9 and 10, young 9 and 10. All the way up to, I think the oldest person I had was 92.
Awesome.
Yeah. This is very old, in the older populations. Yeah, they're very, very active. Some of them are very active sexually and genitally. And so this whole range, men, women, trans, everybody. Okay? I've had everybody. And when the person comes, the very first thing I do is I sit with them and I help them to express the pain behind the fear. Because the fear is basically, in my experience, what I have learned when I register fear. It's my brain telling me I don't know what to do in this situation. I have a situation, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And then the brain starts releasing certain chemicals, cortisol, one of them, and I start feeling like this. That's what contributes to anxiety and then later panic if I stay in that state. So if we go back to the fear, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. So the first thing is I help the person breathe. Let's breathe, okay? Okay, the breathing just oxygenates the system, because very often when they're in a state of fear, they're holding the breath. So the the breathing oxygenates the system, brings oxygen in, the blood vessels start opening up, expanding. So already the whole system starts to calm down. What's calm down? Calm down means that we've moved from the sympathetic nervous system activity to the parasympathetic nervous system activity. Parasympathetic system can start releasing serotonin, which is the calming. Okay, so we want to calm down enough so that the person can really start to open up their pain. Because what really produces fear initially, faster than the speed of life, is pain. Is emotional hurt. You see, because physically the system is upset. Something
attacked it.
Right. So once we get in touch with the pain, usually after a while sitting and working with this, because this is grief. So I do grief here. The grieving of, oh my God, I'm not the same as I was before. Before what happened to me, I was blissful, or I was free, I was young, I was innocent, I was whatever. And now I got this life disease. Or I think I do. You see. So we are in a different state. And so there's a grief that follows with that, because we're in touch with the pain. So I help the person to really express the pain, to cry, to relieve that pressure. The crying, as I've often said many times, is allowing ourselves to cry. It's our spirit, our emotional self, so to speak, relieving itself, just like the physical body. Our physical body, when our bladder is full, we got to pee. Have to pee. The same thing with our emotional self or body, or that sense of being overwhelmed. We cry if we can, but at least to express the pain in some way. So then, at that point, the person has opened up, and then they can start talking about what happened. Happened. Because we can't really get to the what happened that caused this until we get down to we filter down out of the fear into the pain level. Then we can start sharing. This is what happened to me. Whatever it was, however the situation occurred, whether it was a diagnosis, whether it was an encounter with somebody, whether they thought somebody had, whether they were told, whatever it is. And
whether it was a one-night stand, whatever.
Right.
Whether it was someone that they've been together with and someone cheated or whatever.
Right. So that has to happen. And so then we can start talking about and discerning, what the different aspects what the reality of the different aspects are exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So we can deal with it much more directly, you see, and what the practical solutions are immediately. For example, somebody says, okay, I have been diagnosed, I know I have it, and now how do I tell my partner or my partners, or what do I do? How do
Or
I tell them?
do I need to tell them?
Right. This is a very big question. Everybody asks, do I need? And I say, well, if you were the partner and your partner had it, would you want to know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then I tell them to sit with that question for a while. Because sometimes people say, oh, well, no, I wouldn't want to know. I said, well, why wouldn't you want to know? Would you not want to treat your body? Would you not want to help your body, your emotions, your soul, your spirit? Would you not want to learn?
Mm-hmm.
So I often tell them, it depends on the person and it depends on the situation. You know, that's why each situation is different. But I would help them, no matter where they are with this process, to start thinking about what they need to do practically to help themselves, and to if they're in a coupleship or if they're having relationships with other people, what they need to do practically in the immediate situation.
Mm-hmm.
And always I encourage people absolutely to talk about it with their partners. Absolutely. Right. But the when that happens and the how that happens, you know, I tailor it to the partner, what their comfort level is, what they're able to say, how they're able to meet with that other individual or individuals and have the conversations. So I always tailor it to the person, because you have to, you know, this giving blanket suggestions may put people back in fear. I can't do that. I can't say that. What do you, I have to tell, I can't do that. I can't say tomorrow. I can't, you know, then they get panicky again and they're back in the fear.
Trickle down effect is then if they're in a relationship with someone, they don't have sex. And then you have the partner that's like, what, you're not attracted to me? Or why don't you want to have sex? Or you're not sexually you know, you don't turned on or
they don't know. The partner doesn't know what has happened to you.
Right.
Don't know. And so their mind is going into all of these other possibilities.
Right.
You see?
I know that's happened with me in the past. Is I was in past relationships. I was scared, even though the partner, he knew that I had herpes. And he, you know, I was very vocal about it. I was scared to have sex with him because I didn't want to pass it to him.
Right. Exactly.
But he knew that. But still, even though he knew it, I knew it, we both knew it and could talk about it, it still created that, I don't know, should we just skip it? You know?
Right.
Which is not healthy either.
Well, not only not healthy, my love, but it destroys relationship.
Right.
Because if we try to skip our life force 10 megaton bomb energy that's coursing through our body, are we going to stay with this person? No.
Nope.
It's not going to last.
Nope.
You don't just skip, you know, the central core of the relationship, which is some form of that life force energy.
What happens when you have somebody that comes to you and says, I've been dating a guy or a girl, we've been dating for a year, I have herpes and I haven't told her?
Okay.
Or I haven't told my husband, or I haven't told my wife. Because I have heard stories like this. And people have reached out to me going, Alexandra, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you recommend from your professional expertise?
Well, the first thing, again, I go through the same process with the person so that they can get down to the pain level of what they're experiencing about it. Mm-hmm. What's their pain level? Are they afraid that if they've been in a long-term relationship and they were messing around with somebody else, right? And they got it there. Oh my God, I'm going to lose my whole long-term relationship. Or is it a short-term relationship and they got it from this person?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, again, the situation changes.
Where did it come from? Yeah.
Depending on how they believe that they have it. Have they been tested thoroughly? Do they have a reliable diagnosis? I've worked with several people who were initially diagnosed and then did further testing and received a clear. So there's also that ambiguity. I always encourage people, okay, and here you are the expert in this, in the variety of testings that can go on, and there's a procedure. So we're not going to spend time with that. People can contact you to find out all of those details. But I help them get clear on exactly what they're feeling, what happened, what occurred, all the details. They think, they have it, somebody told them, all of those practical things first, so we can exactly see what we are dealing with here. And that's why those instances can vary very greatly in terms of the practical solutions I offer. But I always, do the practical first. And it boils down to make sure your testing is correct.
That's huge.
You may have another STD. You may have something else. You may not have anything at all. Right. You may have been misdiagnosed. And it's not a fault of anybody. It's just that we're still learning so much here. But definitely proceed with this first and immediately. Why immediately? Because it's on your mind.
Right. You'll sleep better.
This is going to influence your work, your sleeping, your digestion, the rest of your health, because you're so worried about it. So do these things immediately first. Do the practical immediately. But we have to exactly see what the practical, remedies are, for them to do. So that's the first thing. Help them get in touch really with the pain center. Number 2, what are the practical solutions for that specific issue for the person to do?
Right.
They always involve practical, and they always involve first with the person themselves.
Right. It's huge.
Because you can't communicate accurately to anyone else unless you know more accurately what is going on inside of you. Otherwise, it's building fear and panic to fear and panic. Then you have more fear and panic running around with everybody, you see. And definitely do not resume genital contact or oral contact with people until you proceed.
Yep. I mean, the reason why herpes is continuing to spread is because 2 reasons. 1, we don't want to talk about it because it's just easier not to tell anybody. And 2, majority of the people walking around with it don't know they have it.
Right.
I mean, I can speak. I have HSV1 and HSV2. I have herpes 1 and 2. I have the oral herpes. I've never had a cold sore. I had it the first time, and I've never had it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I forget that I even have it.
Sure.
Not now that I'm podcasting on it every single day, but before that, I forgot I even had it.
Yeah. And large, vast numbers of the population are walking around with the same situation. Alexandra, we need, on every level, the medical profession needs to do this, as well as the psychology profession, all the health professions. We need to open up the dialogue about this. We need to encourage testing continuously. I'm always encouraging people, get tested, get all the STDs, get tested, and get tested, on a timely basis, especially if you're in multiple relationships, and always use precautions. The CDC here recommends using condoms, recommends it, and I recommend using unlubed condoms, which are very challenging to get. You can get them through the internet, and I encourage people to do that. But I did a survey here in San Diego about stores selling them. Hardly anybody sells them. I'm working on that with the stores. But, so you can use the condoms multi-purposely, because you're not going to put a condom in your mouth full of lubrication.
No.
And it's not wise to do that. So and to carry the condoms with you, both, all genders, carry condoms with you. Carry condoms. What? Why not? This is your health we're talking about. This is your life we're talking about. I'm all about freedom, and I'm all about living a healthy, vibrant, long life.
Right.
Like I do my
And
long life.
and I think something you referred to earlier is, in Europe, which I don't know. I haven't had a sexual relationship with anybody from Europe, so I don't know that. But you said it was just no big deal to use a condom. Where here, I feel that there's generations that are like, meh, who needs that? I'm fine. I'm good. I'm clear. Well, chances are you're probably not.
Absolutely.
You know?
So if you're having multiple relationships, and you're with partners who are having multiple relationships, if you're not wearing condoms, if you're not practicing safe sex practices, chances are very high
Right.
you are walking around with STDs now unless you're
Guaranteed.
tested regularly.
Guaranteed.
And even if you're tested regularly, if you're not practicing safe sex, you will get it instantly
Mm-hmm.
the next time, the next moment. It's a crapshoot. It's like taking a loaded gun with a
Bullet.
bullet and and
The
uh,
roulette of
the
it.
roulette thing,
Mm-hmm.
with the gun. Why are you doing that? Why? And this is another aspect I bring in my work. Why are you playing Russian roulette with your life? Is your life not valuable anymore to you?
And herpes, there's no life. It doesn't. It's not a death sentence. It doesn't alter you. All it is a skin
No,
disease. So for herpes, it's not.
which is
But
treatable.
it's treatable. But for other things that are not, that are a little more serious, like HIV, that's a big one.
It's treatable as well,
But
and
that's
manifestations are more serious.
right.
We're
Syphilis.
talking about treatable manifestations here, treatable diseases
Right.
that we can work with. You see?
Sorry, did I just cut you off? I didn't mean to. When do you counsel people to so you go on a date, you have herpes, and you go on a date and you really like this person, and you go on a second date and you go, gosh, I really like this person. I need to tell him, her, whoever,
Yes.
that I have herpes. It's almost like the same conversation when you start dating someone and you're like, if you never want to have kids, and you're like, I need to tell this person I never want to have kids, or it's like I want to be like Angelina Jolie and adopt a kid from every nation. You kind of need to tell that person sooner rather than later, because if they don't agree on that, then why continue to date? So at what point do you tell that person, I have herpes?
Okay. When I'm counseling dating, because I do a lot of dating stuff, counseling and practicing dating routines and all this kind of stuff with people who are interested in that that avenue. And I say, number one, radical honesty.
Okay.
Number one, make radical honesty the foundation of your dating pattern. Because what are you hiding and why are you hiding it? And if you're hiding something, your partner's going to be hiding something.
It's huge.
If you're radically honest, that is an encouragement from your partner to be radically honest with you. Wouldn't you want to know this? Wouldn't you want to know this? I always turn it back to the person. Wouldn't you want to know this? What are you hiding and why? You think this person's going to disappear? If they're going to disappear, are they worth the time, your valuable time, energy?
Right. Right.
So you'll find out quickly, and you'll save yourself a lot of heartbreak. There you go.
So sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
Because I know I would use it sometimes if there was someone I went on a date and I was like, ugh, I don't know if I like him. And I'd be like, I would just tell him right away and use it as a crutch to be like, I really didn't want to break up with you, but I'll just tell you. And it never really worked that way. Nobody really seemed to be that turned off by it.
You can't miss with radical honesty. You
Right.
can't. What are you missing?
Right.
Nothing. You're bringing all of yourself to the table. If this person in front of you doesn't want all of you, what are you doing with them?
Right.
What are you
Right.
doing with them? You're going to invest your time, your energy. You're going to waste all this stuff, this
If you're not
precious
being
time
honest. Yeah.
with someone you're not interested in anyway, who's not interested in your honesty, and you're not interested in their honesty. What are you doing? Why bother? Why do this? Whereas if you're honest, if you're really honest with who you are up front there, then you start with the foundation of honesty. Would you build a house you want to live on sand?
No.
Okay, it's the same thing. Why build your relationship on sand?
Right.
On truths, on things you're hiding, on secrets. For what purpose? Drama? Revenge?
Right.
What's going to come out of that?
And it'll just turn and I can't imagine. I can't imagine that yeah. You don't want that uneasy feeling of, oh gosh, I forgot to mention this. Oh. And that's, that's why a lot of people have herpes, is because, oh yeah, I had amnesia before we had sex and forgot to mention that to you.
And then the person is going to get all pissed off because you may have infected them.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And so that's the end of that. Whereas if you bring up from the beginning, you can even use the phrase, be honest. If you're scared, say you're scared.
Mm-hmm.
Say, you know what? I'm really scared about this. I don't feel so comfortable in saying it, but I'm going to say it anyway because I value you and our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no real easy way for me to say it, but I have herpes, or I think I have herpes, or I may have herpes, or I'm being diagnosed.
Right.
And I said it. But I value you, I honor you, and I don't want you to have any problems at all.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think this person is going to say? They're going to be so deeply moved that you honor them, that you respect them, that you care about them, that you say this, and you're making yourself vulnerable enough to that person. They are going to be if they're worth anything, they're going to be moved.
Mm-hmm.
And a real person is going to thank you from the bottom of their heart.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then you've got a real foundation there right from the start.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, thank you, Sami, for being a guest on the show today.
Oh, you're welcome. There's so much more I would love to say.
Well, you can come back. You'll come back. Sure. There's just been so much. I just appreciate you sharing your expertise, your knowledge, your personal experiences with your patients, and then just what you see out in the field, since you are a sexological body worker, a counselor, a healer, conflict resolution. All these things all boil down to talking about herpes as well. We can trace that back and it's a lot of the key things you said is respect your body, know your body. You want to know, look at carrying a condom as I'm protecting my body and your body. It's nothing. It's like wearing a seatbelt. You're protecting both everybody involved. It's like wearing a seatbelt.
Right.
Hopefully a condom will become the new seatbelt.
Right. And remember, it comes from our compassion for the other person, for ourselves first, honoring our body and mind, heart, and soul, and honoring the other person. Who doesn't want to be honored? Who doesn't want that care and love? We all do, all of us. Yeah.
It's huge.
It's my joy, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share all this.
Well, thank you for being here as well. I much enjoyed it, and I know our listeners enjoyed it. For how can people reach out to you? What is the best way?
The best way is to go to my website, www.samadhiresearch.com. That's SAMADHIRESEARCH.com. And there is the email address, my email address, the phone number, etc. Please reach out. I'm more than happy to help and share. And I
Perfect.
look forward to that. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, of course. I'm excited for you to be here. And I will also link in the show notes Dr. Sami's information. So just head on over to lifewithherpes.com, go over to the podcast section, and you'll find all this wonderful information on Sami, and it'll link it to her website as well, and ways to get a hold of her. Also, why I have everybody here, if you have not joined the Facebook group, I would love to see you over there. It is an uber secret Facebook group. I just like saying the word uber. But it's secret. It's through Facebook. It's private. It's secret, meaning that your friend of a friend of a friend and your cousin who you once met somebody at the park is not going to know that you have herpes. The only people that will know are you, me, and the other people in the group, and it is a warm community over there. So how you join is you go over to lifewithherpes.com, and you click a little button that says join the Facebook group, and I will send you the information to join the group. That's why I really value your privacy, and I want to keep the integrity of making sure that it is private. So, all right. Thanks so much, and I will see you all soon.
Thank you, Alexandra, and for everything that you're doing for everyone.
Thank you, Sami. All right. How did you like today's episode? I, of course, loved it. I mean, who doesn't want to hear from Dr. Sami all about sexology, sexological bodywork, how a penis gets hard, different ways to have safe sex, make it fun, make it sexy, and just enjoy your partner, right? But anyways, if you've not joined our Facebook group, I want to personally invite you. It is a special place for you guys, for me to go to. It is our Life with Herpes podcast community. It is family, it is friends, it is people embracing you and myself. We're in this together. We're breaking that stigma together. So head on over to lifewithherpes.com. I have a link there for you to join. It is secret, so do not worry about your friends of a friend of a friend finding out you have it. It is secret, it is private, and just you and me will know. All right, have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.